Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, and welcome to Love and Enlightenment. Um, Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. We'll give a couple minutes for some people to log in, but I know Trina asked, but I don't think I asked. How was everybody's day today?
It was a rough one, but I made it through. So
That's good.
made it through.
I'm still mad I worked so hard.
Mine's always pretty good.
That's
That's good.
good.
That's good.
Mine
When
was
you're
pretty
retired,
good.
every day is a great day.
I can imagine. I cannot wait.
That's something to look forward to.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
Mhm.
is.
yeah,
Definitely.
that is a blessing.
I
I
have some,
listened to a lot of Kevin Samuels today, so it was a little stressful. I was like,
yeah.
so yeah. So it was a good day, but one of them kind of thing.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. Karen, Marilyn, Halima, Eve, who I call Peaches, and of course Trina. The guys are not with us tonight, um, but we want to address tonight this term that people use nowadays as the modern woman, and how she shows up in the world in relationships. So to kind of start off the conversation, um, I'm gonna start with you, Trina. We're gonna
No,
go.
you don't.
Yes, I
No,
am.
you
We're
don't.
gonna go
No, you don't.
counterclockwise. Um,
Because I am the last. You the beginning, and I am the end. So let we not change nothing today. Cause you know Trina ain't going for it. Let's go, Karen.
yes. So Karen, just basically kind of tell us, number one, um, I'm trying to think if we should do it this way. Do you consider yourself a modern day woman?
Good start, Debbie.
Um, I would say yes and no. And the reason why it's a yes and no is because um, I have not fully engulfed what the definition of the modern day woman is. But I'm a woman who understands what survival is, making it work, placing priorities where they are fit, um, working hard for not only me, but to have an example of what my kids need to do in order for them to achieve the life that they want to have. And if that's a modern woman by definition, I would say yes. But lately, I've seen some definition of what some people think the modern woman is and really is not, which is like more of the negativity. But if that's what it is, yes, I'm a modern woman. If it's the independent, I don't need a man, I could do it all by myself kind of woman, no, that's not me.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
depends on the definition, but if you
Well,
know,
I honestly think it's a very broad definition. I looked up many definitions, and it's so broad. But
it is.
so I think at the end of the day, it's
I think
everybody's.
it's what we define it as for
Exactly.
Hmm.
ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
How about you, Marilyn? Do you consider yourself a modern day woman?
Um, I will say yes. Um, because when I look up what is a modern day woman, it talks about strength, a woman who believes that women should be paid equally as men. Um, we take the challenge as we will do what a man will do. He work construction, we work construction. So um, I would say yes. I'm a modern day woman.
Okay. How about you, Halima?
So for me, how I interpreted that term would be a woman who is has a balance between her masculine and feminine energies. She's learned to heal from her past traumas. She's self-sufficient, business oriented, career oriented, and pretty much knows how to set, healthy boundaries and enforce them. So in terms of that, I would consider myself to be a modern woman. Um, but I really don't go by labels. I just live my life however I need to live it to make sure I succeed.
Amen.
Mhm.
Um, okay. How about you, Peaches? Eve?
I piggyback on quite a few things that have already been said, mainly about the boundaries. I
Mhm.
mean, you're dealing with a woman who has to be adaptable as society changes. She knows the importance of getting an education, that you can't necessarily depend on someone else.
Mhm.
Somebody who has a good sense of her own identity, and also in a relationship, the relationship itself doesn't define her. She's not all taken up with the guy to the point where she can't live without him. And the lines are kind of blurred in terms of who does the work in the household. Whether you are married, whether you are living with a significant other, or whether you're in a regular dating relationship. You know your wants, your needs, your desires, and you don't put that second just to placate somebody and to do what he wants. So a lot of it deals with identity.
Mhm.
So yes, I am a modern woman in that kind of a definition.
Excellent. And how about you, Trina?
I think I did very well. So I would say all of the above, all of the above. I define her as us, who we are, all of us. We look different, but we embrace different things. But at the end of the day, we're showing up in the wall, and we are taking the things that we've learned from the past, our ancestors, and we're using it today, and we've evolved it into something different that is beneficial to society. Um, a lot of times we want to stay in the old way of doing things because we don't want to change. Sometimes the old ways need to die so a new thing could evolve. And I think that's what we've done. So the modern woman is one who could look at the past, take the things from the past that's useful, and those things that's not no longer useful, let it go, forgive it, don't judge it or criticize it because that's what it was for the time. But today we created something different and it's applicable to the time. I love what Halima said about the balancing the feminine and negative energy, because that's also important. As women, we need to embrace who we are. Um, there are times when we have to be in both. And a lot of time people hear the feminine and masculine energy, and they think it's negative. It's actually not negative. All it's saying is that there is time when a woman needs to be a woman, and then there's times when she have to move into her masculine energy to get the job done. And it's okay. And it's okay to do that. So that's my definition.
Okay. So you consider yourself a modern day woman?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. When I was looking up, there were so many different definitions. Um, I found it was an article and it talked about top 30 traits of the modern woman, wearing what you want, believing women should be paid the same as men, happy to manage your own money, giving your sons and daughters the exact same choices and opportunities. I mean, it was like a whole list. Again, and then finding other definitions that talked about the modern woman is someone who questions and challenges, who stands up for her rights and those of others. Um, she so shows a soft side and a supportive side, but she's also resilient and knows what she wants and speaks her mind. Um, I am like Halima. Like I don't like to place myself in a box because I don't think I'm in any box. Um, I guess by all of the definitions, for me, yes, I am a modern day woman, but I also saw my mom as being a modern day woman. So I don't know when they say modern, how modern they mean, like how many years back. I see my grandmother as she was a modern day woman. Um,
She was modern for her time.
For her
Time.
time.
Yeah.
My
Right.
grandmother was modern. I
Right.
call my grandmother and my mother very progressive modern women for their time. So yeah.
Yeah. So again, for me, it's just another term. You know,
Mhm.
every time you turn around, there's a new term for
Another
something.
term.
It's not that these things just came into existence today, but it's, I don't know, it's just another conversation to have. I don't know. Um, but you know, you hear on all the on various platforms, people talking about the modern day woman, career woman, entrepreneur, and how she shows up in the world. And unfortunately, to me, you hear so much negativity attached to it. It doesn't seem like it's used as a positive word, explanation, definition, characteristic.
Or even
Um,
a badge of honor.
exactly. So, um, and to me it's almost like saying like if you're a modern day woman, then you can't be like Halima, have that feminine side and multitask in the world and in relationships. And to that, I don't believe in that.
Mhm.
So one of the questions I want to ask is, has having a career, um, or going into entrepreneurship or having your own business in the past, um, do you feel as a your definition of a modern day woman, it has had any effect on either getting into a relationship, staying in a relationship, or deciding whether or not you wanted to be in a relationship?
Mhm.
Karen? I was going to start with Pinky, but I don't want to hear
But I
hers.
think it's fair you start with Pinky. You should go counterclockwise this time.
Exactly,
You
right?
did
No,
start with Karen first.
But,
we
but
not
you know
do
what?
this
But we ain't gonna do
again.
this to Pinky tonight because
Thank you.
that's Louis and what's his name?
I love you, Karen. Thank you,
Um,
honey. Thank you.
for me as a single mother, I felt I fit the definition by default. There's a lot of things I would have chosen not to do by myself, but because I had to, because in order for me to get to the level that I needed to get, not only for my own success, but I was raising two young women. I needed them to understand that, you know, when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade and you don't play that. So at one point in my life, I worked two jobs. I worked a full time, a part time. I was attending the university full time, and I was raising two girls. And you know, it was a mess. It was a mess. And then I was taking care of my elderly father who was blind, and you know, my sanity was almost always on the border. Like at one point, I could tip over because I was trying to do it all, which was difficult. And you know, I got over it. I survived, but relationship took a back burner. Like that was the one thing I was like, you know what? I really don't have time for relationships. Not because I didn't want to, but I know that in order for a relationship to work, there has to be a level of dedication that it needs. It's work, and you have to dedicate some kind of time. And for me, the decision was mine, and that was the only thing I could have forfeit because everything else had more weight. I had to go to school to get to the educational level to get the career that I needed to take care of my daughters. And I needed to work to take care of my daughters. And I needed to take care of the two kids that God entrusted me for. And then I needed to take care of my father. At that point, I saw a relationship as a want. Even my friendship with my friends took a back burner because I couldn't hang out like I used to. Like working one job from 6 to 3, and next job from 3:30 to 7:30, and go to school from 8 to 10. You know, it's like, hey, how you doing? But I don't have time to hang out at the clubs. I don't have time to hang out at the bars because I needed to finish my degree in 3 years. And I
Right.
did that for 3 years. And I rode that bus for 3 years. But I knew the work that it needed to take. And friendships and relationships at the time, which, you know, it's a healthy balance, was something I was saying, you know what, I could give this part up. I can give up going out. And I'm not saying it works for everybody, but at the time when I needed to make that decision, That's the bad part of being the sole decision maker. You're the only one that gets to say yay or nay. So for me, career, kids, everything had, I had to, evaluate it by weight. Everything had its weight, and I couldn't drop any of them. They were all my needs, and relationships and hanging out with my friends and doing all of that, you know, that took a back burner. Even myself took a back burner, like my health. I was to the point where one night I had to drive myself to the emergency room to have emergency surgery the next morning at 9 o'clock because I neglected me. I neglected taking care of myself. So it's not even just relationships and friendships, you know, trying to get everything to where it needed to be took a toll on my health. It took a toll on my sanity. I was grumpy. Yes, I was grumpy because I was always tired, and as I look back at it, and I'm grateful for the times I get to be so lazy where I have nothing to do and I laugh at myself because I know there was a time where 24 hours was just not enough. Like I wish I could have gotten like a little bank and people could have donate their hours to me because 24 hours was just not enough. I used to get 2, 3 hours sleep, which wasn't healthy. So that took a toll on my health and it took a toll on my mood because I was always grumpy because I was always tired. So that's my, you know, modern day woman. But in the end, it paid off. I have a wonderful career. I have two amazing daughters that reminds me every day, no matter what I think I did wrong in life, I did something right with them. Um, I gave honor to my father, who was my protector, my provider, and he took care of me all my life. I was able to take care of him until he passed. And education wise, yes, I have multiple degrees, but it was in order for me to get to the career level. And now I'm getting ready to go into my own entrepreneur adventures because I kind of feel comfortable that I can do it because I've done the work, especially when it came to giving my kids a level of stability. And now I can free will it. I can say, okay, I could do more of me. So I did have to make a lot of sacrifices. Sometimes it was myself, but for me, it was worth it.
Excellent. Excellent. Marilyn, I'm gonna go to you next, but I just want to read something. Rishlin said in the comments, she said, at the end of the day, where relationships are concerned with romantic or friendships, you need people in your corner who understand what your goal is. And at times that means isolation and just having no time for things you once had time for. So that was her response. So, Marilyn, as I asked Karen, how has having a career, because, well, you'll explain, affected? I mean, and when I say affect does not mean negative. How has um, having a career, being a modern day woman, affected your relationships? And again, children, husband, family, um, good or bad. You're muted.
Yeah, I will say with me, um, as Karen said, she gave up the relationship to do whatever else she needed to do. But of course, with me, I'm married, so I couldn't give up the relationship. But I would more say relationship maybe with friends, like maybe going out, hanging out more. I couldn't get to do that, having kids and stuff like that. Um, when it comes to my career, I would say I always leave work at work
Mm,
because I was coming home to other work. But with us, how it worked out was, I must say, my employer were very family friendly.
mm,
So we kind of work it out that way where um, I might take my lunch for 3:30, um, pick the kids up from school, take them maybe to another after school program. Um, then after work, then I would go home and start to prepare, the cooking and stuff like that. And then my husband probably will pick up the children. So The only thing I might say that I had to give up was the hanging out. I was not able to hang out with my friends how I really wanted to, or how I can do now. Like, maybe go out to dinner with a girlfriend, or maybe take a girls' trip and stuff like that. But it did, when my kids was growing up, it did not allow me to do that.
Right.
Yeah. So, and again, living in the Virgin Islands where my mom is here, you have family. It also kind of gives you a break where my mom would babysit or a cousin would babysit, and then me and my husband will have time for us.
Good.
So having a career did not it didn't take a toll on my relationship because we you have to balance
Right.
and you have to prepare first of all, because if you don't do that, um, it's hard. I'd always say when my kids when they were younger and they went to private school, what will always throw me off, because I'm always prepared, because I know after work you go home, you cook, we eat, we do homework, and it's a routine. So,
Hmm.
what used to take me out of my routine and it used to be uncomfortable was the Christmas programs. On a Tuesday night, we have to go to a Christmas program, and I have to go to work Wednesday. So,
Hmm.
to me, even though you prepare, you have to prepare again, because things like that will take you out of your norm.
Right.
But that is very important. You have to balance and you have to prepare to make it work.
I agree.
And it might sound easy, but it wasn't easy. It
Correct.
wasn't easy at all.
Cool. How about you, Halima?
For me, I would say there were positive and negatives for me because I'm always been career oriented from the time I can remember myself. I always have some way to make money, and that's always been my focus. So once I really started getting my career and I had my first daughter, it was a struggle because I was also going to school full time, which and working full time, which was a struggle in itself. So during the day, I had my 9 to 5, and then at night, I have a full load of classes in person and online. So during that time, I would say I took a back seat, not my daughter. I was like, made sure I had time for her no matter what, just to be, I haven't seen her all day, come home, spend as much time I could with her, maybe 20 minutes. We sit down and talk about her day or whatever. Then I rush and go to school. Or I'm like, okay, give me a few minutes. Let me go online. I got to finish this class. What I like about my daughter is she's like, okay, mommy, I'll just sit by you and play. So the only thing about it was like carrying my health. So I was always worn out. I have a lot of I have a neck injury, I have back injuries and things like that because after I finished getting my first degree, my goal was then to get rid of my student loan. So I had about 3 jobs, like one
Wow.
full time, 2 part-time jobs, one on the weekend, one during the week at night. And I was just going because I just wanted to get rid of that student loan. So in that aspect, again, I took a back seat. I always made sure I had time for my kids, made sure I had time for my mom, spend time with my sisters, because I believe no matter at the end of the day, family is very important to me. So I don't care what's going on in my life, I always make time for them. And after my mom retired, it got easier because by then I had my second daughter, and it really takes a village to raise a family. And I'm so grateful she retired when she did because I don't know how I would have managed. Oh, but so she took some of that burden off of me and was like, do what you have to do now. You're still young. You're going after your next degree. You have a plan for your career where you want to be when you have to do. So she really pitched in. My sister pitched in. The kids' godparents pitched in. Like I love them to death because they were like, okay, we understand what you're trying to do. Don't worry about it. So when I can't make the Christmas programs, my sister stepped in, my mom stepped in, the godparents them step in. So if I'm not there clapping, they are definitely there clapping for me. So very grateful for them. Like I owe them everything. I could think of. So anytime you see me praising them, I have a reason to because they definitely deserve it. And when it came to romantic relationship, I have to say, even though it didn't work out, the guys them were um, really cheering me on. Like it had times when I would get a knock at my door at 2 a.m. where my friend was like, "Okay, I know you're probably tired, but I have this for you. Take this." One bought me a massage pillow. And next one knew that I don't really cook. I was grabbing fast food, like literally a whole meal prep for the week. So,
Wow.
like I said, even though the relationship didn't work out, they were supportive and they were understanding. I never had an issue with them not understanding what I'm trying to do. But going forward now, like after my boyfriend passed away, like relationship stuff just in my mind. Like I'm so focused right now on trying to build another business because I had a business going to online. My kids then was helping their salespeople, marketing, everything was me and my two kids. So now I want to get back into having my own business again. And relationship definitely taking a backseat. A romantic relationship, just I know for a fact I don't have time for a man because of what I want to do. And only way a relationship going to last if you make time for it. And I know I don't want to make time for it. So it doesn't make sense for me to bring somebody into my life knowing what my goals are, what I have to do to achieve those goals. And like I said, I will never sacrifice family. So it can be a romantic relationship. So that's
Wait,
how I'm living right now.
you know, I always say kudos to you for saying that because um, I'm a true believer in integrity and honesty. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of people get into things and they don't look at the big picture.
Mhm.
Um, and if you don't want to set yourself up for failure, like why even do it? So
Yeah.
I really do applaud you every time I hear you
Yeah.
talk about that. So thank you. And yes, I also believe the village, which we've gotten so far away from,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
also plays a role in how you can show up better in all aspects of relationships. So how about you, Eve?
I was also going to piggyback and say it takes a village.
Yes.
I mean, and the village could consist of so many things. For me, it was my church family, building those relationships and friendships with people that you trust,
Mm-hmm.
that you can pray for, that you can pray over. If somebody is sick,
Hmm.
if they go watch your kids, you go watch their kids, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
if you don't even have blood family, you could develop. You could
Right.
develop
Hmm.
family
Definitely.
because,
Hmm.
and especially up here in the States, you want people who you could trust. So that's important. Another word that you use is juggling. It's about juggling responsibilities and just getting it done. The three words that my husband and I go by is what matters most. There are a lot of different things competing for our attention every day, but what matters most? And I mean, he's really, I shouldn't use the word anal, but he sets every day, okay, what are we going to do for work? What are we doing for family? What are we doing in our spirit life and that kind of stuff? And vacations every quarter, whether it's Christmas time or Thanksgiving time or Easter time or summertime. And so we're planning something because we're big on creating memories for
Yes.
our kids, the same way
Hmm.
how we have good memories of growing up and things like that. We also want them to have it. So, I mean, when you just look at the large scheme of things, you realize that it can work when you work it. There was something
Hmm.
I read recently and I thought was just so profound. The author of the book Lord of the Flies once said that women are foolish to think that they're equal to men. They're actually superior. He says, for example, if you give a woman a seed, she can create a baby. If a man gives a woman a house, she could create a home. If he gives her groceries, she could give him a meal. If you give her a smile, then she will give you her heart. But if you go and mess with her and give her crap, she will give you back ish.
Yes.
And a ton of it.
Yes.
This day and age,
Definitely.
with the modern woman, then
Right.
that's what it's all about. She's not
Right.
going to
Hmm.
be sitting back being abused and not saying
That's true.
anything about it.
Exactly.
because one of the main things that's happening is the kids are observing it. And then when the
Exactly.
kids leave your house with that mindset and then go out and do the same thing over again, then you wonder why. And I
Right.
forgot to add, I retired after 38 years of being a stenographer in the courtroom. I was a silent person looking at all that drama going on.
Yeah.
And at that stage, you really see the degenerating nature of society and what it fosters, the end result of it. And you get a sense of people who don't belong there, people who lied on them and they ended up in situations, but by and large, a lot of them do belong there. I mean, I've had to sometimes counsel some parents, especially the moms just bawling out. And I'll tell them, look, man, the Holy Spirit told me to tell you this occurred so that down the road, a couple of years from now, your child would know better
Right.
when the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are so many different sense of discernment that you get in situations when you realize why bad things happen to good people.
People.
But just
Right.
getting back in terms of relationships, yeah, it's about working together. And I wasn't always married. I was a single person for I got married at 40 years. So for the first 40 years, I was having a good old time as a single, did everything just about, but it all prepared me for my purpose and for what I'm doing now. And but either way, it's about just having identity. And if you have kids, just raising them and training them up in the way they should go, so that when they go out, they would never turn back from it. And I hold God to His word in my prayer. Okay, God, my son is out there, and Lord knows what's happening. But I trust you, and I trust your word, and I put my faith in you, and I stand on that. And that allows me to sleep soundly instead of worrying, because I know it's not about me. It's about who I believe in. So that's my take.
Excellent. Excellent. How about you, Trina?
Oh, that God, I trust you, especially when you're really afraid of what you're going through at the time. It's hard, man. I used to be like, God, I don't know what you're doing. I trust you, though. I trust you. you know.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, career. I was a housewife for 25 years, so I put my career on hold. Um, I got married in my senior year of college. I actually dropped out of college with 6 credits to go to get married. yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we're pregnant. Yeah. The thing was, I always wanted a family. I always wanted a husband and I always wanted children, and I always knew that. So that's the modern woman, right? I knew what I wanted. It was not popular. Everybody were like, what? Yeah, it wasn't popular. And I knew I wanted a big family too. So even my girlfriend, I was telling her the other day, she said, I thought you were some big career woman. I said, I never wanted to be a big career woman. I wanted a family and children. That's what I wanted. And my family thought I was crazy when I made them stands, you know? Anyway, I'm a traditionalist, even though I am a modern woman. So we could be traditional and still be modern at the same time. That's the beauty of how we live today. We're not stuck in any one particular category. Anyway, I thought I was gonna be a career woman when I went to college, right? And me and Vincent was engaged, and I was like, I'm gonna walk out on Wall Street, blah blah blah, and I'm gonna do this and do that and do that, because that's the kind of woman I want to do this, achieve this, achieve. He said, well, why you don't go join the army and be everything you could be, since you want to be all them things, right? My sister does still tell the joke. My older sister, Deidre. I didn't know what he was saying at the time. It's a lot of things Vincent used to tell me that I didn't know what he was saying, right? But at that time, I wanted to do all these things. He was not a part of the plan, and he was my fiance. And as a man, he knew he wanted, as a man, he wanted to be wanted and needed. I wanted to be independent, strong, and self-sufficient. Anyway, that's the attitude I went into marriage with, which was not the right mindset. It was childish. That's what I was at the time. I know better and I do better. I ended up, I had 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. I have 4 kids. I wanted 4 kids. And much people was like, think you want 4 kids? My last baby, her name is after her grandmother because Renella was the first person who said, wow, why so happy you getting a fourth child? And I was like, you're the first person said that, right? Nobody, because they were like, what are you, crazy? Where you going to stop getting these children? What wrong with you? You know? Even Vincent, he was like, no, I going to go get his vasectomy because this woman ain't going to stop getting no children. I wanted that. I chose family over career, no doubt about it. But then I've learned the hard way. And I'm one of them women who tell my daughters, choose to have a career. You're going to finish your education. You ain't going to do what I did. Because when I finished, I had 3 kids. And that was hard to go back to school and have 3 kids and finish them 6 credits, right? That was hard. And I was like, you're not going to do that. You're going to finish. So you hear these talks today about you to push your children them to do things because yes, you do. You should. If you made mistakes, you should teach your children, don't make them same mistakes. So I tell my kids, my daughters, you have to get education. You have to be self-sufficient. If you get married, so I learned because after being home for all them years, 15 years or whatever, and the kids were starting to go to college, and Vincent was like, Pinky, the kids going to college, you need to go out and get a job. I was like, who? Me know how to get no job. I've been a housewife for all these years. It was like, who gonna help me pay for these children tuition? I was like, we're gonna figure it out. But I don't know how to be a career woman after I stayed home for all these years. Not to mention Vincent was a sickly person in and out the hospital. So on top of having 4 children, I had a husband that was in and out the hospital very often. I could not manage these things. So what suffered was our marriage, and I suffered my relationship with self. It just did. So going through all of that, when it was time I tell my girls now, we don't know what tomorrow gonna bring. I older now. I could look back in life. I don't tell them, your husband could leave you for another woman. It'll happen, guys. I don't want to say, but it do happen. We've seen it time and time again. Your husband could pass away. It happened to me, right? I can't predict tomorrow. But what you need to know is if you have to stand on your own 2 feet, you can when that time comes. Because I had to reinvent myself in my 40s. After all I knew was taking care of children and a husband. I did not know what to do. And yeah, Peaches, it took a lot of prayers and tears. I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, what to do? When I went to college, I studied accounting. And I studied accounting because I always wanted to be a businesswoman to run my own business. And I didn't want anybody to do my books because I was afraid people would want to thief my money. So I was like, I'm going to do that so I could keep my own books. So then I had to remember that first original thought when I went to college at 17. And I was like, okay, you could run your own business. Because I was like, should I be a teacher? Should I do this? I was going to be a science teacher. I was confused. Anyway, I decided I will do what I know what to do. I know how to bake. I gonna stick with what I comfortable with, and I gonna start my own business. And I have a passion to bake. I couldn't always bake. Debbie will tell you the story. I used to drop the cake. Them used to fall all the time. You see my baked goods, it's a miracle from God because I could not always bake. But I was determined to overcome this. I come from a family of cooks, not bakers. Well, Deidre could bake, but she's a home economics teacher. So I said, I'm gonna go with what I know. I know how to make tarts. I had to make tarts for my boyfriend in high school so he could take me to the prom. That's a whole nother story. You know? So I said, and I used to help my mother make beignet so I could go to the movies. Take he to the movies. That's a whole nother story. So what I know how to do, I know how to bake, I know how to cook. I don't want to cook, I want to bake. That's how I start my business. And so I just recently started it. So what I'm saying to say all of it, then it was on the second half, reinventing myself. After my husband passed, after being a housewife for all these years, I was like, okay, my friends, them talking about retirement. I just looking to start life. I want that for my girls. So my one daughter, I tell her, if you want to be a pharmacist, that's a great job because I learned from my counterparts in other races. They kept their resumes active, which I never did. So I learned from them. You could be a stay-at-home mom. I knew stay-at-home moms. Debbie knew them. She used to walk, and that Debbie's the one who gave me the idea. They were lawyers and stuff, and Debbie was their nanny. And I was like, people that's lawyers and doctors, and they just stay home and take care of it. This is our counterparts, right? And so I learned from them. Well, if they could do it, we could do it too. And I tell my dad, you be a pharmacist, but you keep an active resume. So when the time comes, because my friend, she had 2 masters and she was a stay-at-home mom, but she was a professor at the college and she would only work in the summertime to keep her resume active. And I said to my dad, I said, when you have your degree, you keep your resume active. So when the day comes that if you have to go back out and work, you have something to fall back on. That's what I learned from them. So my career, it did suffer, but in the end is what I wanted. And my relationship with my husband suffered a lot because I did not know how to balance family and balance marriage. And I was like, the children them need me, so I gonna deal with the children them. Now I tell young people all the time, because I used to walk at the church with the young people and stuff. I tell them, look, your children them gonna leave you after about 18 years, 20 years, they're gonna leave. And they have a right to leave. As parents, we want to hold on to them forever. I said, no, we have to let them leave. We have to let them live their lives, right? But we see single moms holding on to their sons because sons were the head of the household and these kind of things that's not healthy, right? I say, the time gonna come when your children are gonna leave, let them go. Invest in your marriage. Take your time in those 18, 20 years to invest in your relationship. Because it's like Halima said, if you don't take the time to invest in a relationship, it's gonna die.
Right.
It's just like anything. If you don't invest in it, if you don't give time, energy, it's gonna die. And then you dead 25 years down the line and you're looking at it and you're like, wow, this marriage gonna come to an end, but you never invested in it. And that's what I did. But I did not know any better. We did not know any better. We were living in Texas and my family was in St. Croix. And like I said, we had 4 kids sickly. Me and Vince both, we didn't trust people to take care of our kids. And so we didn't rely on a village. We did it on our own. I would say create a village like Peaches said. Create a village and find people to support you. And believe me, there's people out there who are willing to support.
Sure. Well, after Trina, I too I'm a career woman. I was married for 25 years. We were together for 30. I had 4 kids and I raised my 4 kids and a stepdaughter. And I had management position jobs. My ex-husband had a business. So we were very busy. I'm grateful for it because I think definitely my kids seeing me juggling all those roles have created little people that understand the value of showing up, whether it's for someone else or for your own business. They have good work ethic, or they understand good work ethic, put it that way. So I think that was definitely the value. I'm always preaching about the village because unfortunately I had a minimal village, but I didn't really have a village because my mom's family was in St. Thomas. My mom passed away after I had my first daughter. So I really did it. Pinky was witness. I did it on my own. Unfortunately, some people say, well,
I don't know how she did it.
I don't know how I did it either, by the grace of God. I was married, but I consider myself single in my marriage because a lot of responsibilities get left on me. And one of the things I felt was that when I have children and I brought children in this world, they didn't ask to be in this world. So I'm going to give them my all. My mother did it for us, me and my sister. So I felt like I had to do it for my kids. Of course, my relationship suffered. And everybody plays a role in things not working out. But I think because I did have to juggle And because I don't think my ex-husband was really prepared to take on the role of marriage, um, and being a present um, parent, um, it just was not a good situation. But we are here today. They're all healthy. They're all fairly doing well. Um, and I know looking back that for me, being a career woman, I thank God that even with the struggles of that marriage, that I never ever said I would never want to be in a relationship again, because I truly understood that this was about this person and that relationship. It had nothing to do with the collective um, men. So for me, one of the things I definitely learned, and again, through conversation, through reading, I'm always seeking information. I understand that when you are in a relationship, it has to take priority. And if you don't give it 100, it's going to have issues. And it can't just be one person, it has to be both. um, and you have to have a vision and a goal for that relationship as well, because I think, one of the things I've asked on past shows is, you hear people talking about relationship, but do people really ask themselves why they want to be in a relationship? Because it comes with responsibility if you want it to be successful.
Mhm.
And if you all aren't on one accord, um, it's not going to work, because everybody's coming with all sorts of issues and problems and trauma. And if you all are not going to decide to work together to make it work properly, it's not even worth investing in. So I'm glad that you know I'm on the other side of that.
Mhm.
um, Another question that I wanted to ask is, in we kind of talked about this on our last show, that and again, this is, I guess, I don't know necessarily how a traditional woman, but one of the things that I'm seeing with modern day women is that, again, making the choice to speak up about what you want and how you show up. How do you see modern women or yourselves when it comes to that feminine energy, that sensual energy? Because sometimes I think people, you hear, again, I'm not calling any platforms, but you hear people talking about women, especially in the Black community, are angry and they come off, negative and whatever. So even if they are appearing to be a certain way, once they open their mouth, um, it's like a whole nother energy that's coming off. And then also you hear, career women, they're all about their career and they demonize men, because maybe they're not making the same amount as them, or they are coming to the
Oh
table.
gosh.
um, how do you feel that modern day women are able to show that feminine, sensual side of them in today's world? Yes, because I can't go counterclockwise.
I know I'm not going to allow you to go out of order. Um, I just think, and this is my opinion. I think seeing that, I just think some men are a little too sensitive, and I think for years it's been known that they are the leader, and they equate that to strength, or they equate it to wherever their marvelous mind tell them to equate it to. But I think sometimes they get in their feelings. Like, I think in a relationship, you should not be there because you are needed. You should be there because you're wanted. There's a desire for you to be there based on, if I had a choice, I would choose you. And they should not feel that because I make my own money or I make more money than you, that you're no longer needed. You know, you may not be needed for finances, but you're gonna be needed, like for something else. I mean, but it should not be attached to who you are. And for women, a lot of women who have faced that issue of making more than a man, where our pool is not limited. You're limiting yourself because you could have a wonderful woman that can probably just pay the bills and you can handle your business some other way.
Mm-hmm.
But you get so in your feelings because is that the only way that can beat your chest and say I'm a man is because if you want to pay your bills. I mean, the logic of it is if your salary can't pay the bills, your salary can't pay the bills. Let me help you. Sometimes it's not even about being the bigger person, but it's just being realistic. Like maybe she can help you go back to school and or
Yep.
invest in your career or invest in yourself. You have women out there who's willing to do that. They have some women that's willing to support you regardless of. But I think some of them that just be getting into their feelings. A lot of people have not dealt with past hurt, past issues, so they carry that baggage into the relationship, and then the next person have to pay for it. There are women out there that are gonna beat their chest because for me, you know what it is to work two jobs, go to school full time, holding 7 classes with a 25-page paper that's due in
Yep.
30 days, and you decide to do it 4 hours before the sign.
Yep.
And then you have to take 10 minutes to figure out what lie I'm going to tell my professor. Like, I've had my.
Listen, I didn't even lie. I'm just like, listen, I couldn't get it done.
No,
I
I
just
lied.
couldn't get it
I
done.
have blamed it on the fact that, we had hurricanes, a
Mm-hmm.
family member that I don't have any brothers, and my brother Tyre died. Like he died a million times. I've had, you know, my grandfather passed away years ago. He died a lot of times because sometimes you just get so caught up. When you put
Mm-hmm.
in all that work for someone to degrade you and make you feel that that's all your work, like I've had men tell me, "Oh, you chasing paper." Well, I cannot take your love to the grocery store and tell him give me a bag of groceries. I really can't do that. So I have to chase the paper. A lot of us women who are independent, we're there by default. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
had do what you were supposed to do, I wouldn't have been here. Like let's look at it that way. Sometimes we have to take accountability for where we're at. And if I sit there and worry about what didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be where I'm at. If I have to sit down and worry about what luck I didn't have or I didn't find the right man, I had to be the right woman for the right man to come along. And at one point in my life, I didn't really want to have a right man because I know, like they say, everybody agreed with, it took work. I give women who's in marriages and relationship all the praise because I don't even have this much patience,
Mm-hmm.
like this much. And for me, as I grow, as I got older, my patience got lower. And there's certain things I wouldn't tolerate. Like if I go to the store and the line long, either I go to the self checkout or I go and I order it on Amazon. Like, do you really want to stand in the line and wait for all these groceries? But we have to come to the realization is we need to stop being so much in our feelings. It's not about you. It's really not about you. That woman is independent because she ain't had no choice. What's she gonna do later? I'm gonna play dead and tell the kids, okay, let's go sit down on welfare and food stamp. No. She's gonna go back to school, she's gonna work the job, she's gonna get educated, she's gonna start a business, and she's gonna handle her business. Why would you not want a woman that's not gonna lay down and play dead? Why would you not want a woman that knows how to put in the work and knows how to get you to where you need to go? Because what? She makes more money than you? Somebody have to make more money. I mean, that's the reality of it. Unless we work in the same exact job in the same exact place with the same exact salary, like it's not going to happen. But I think there's far too many men, and I could say men because I could speak for me as a woman. I've met them that's so in their feelings that if you drive a nicer car than them, they'll be like, I just like nice cars. You sometimes you can't even
But
tell
I,
them
but,
where you work.
but I think, um, I always got to be. Trina says I'm always
The
trying to.
devil's advocate.
No, not she's a devil's advocate. I'm always on, the positive one.
The upside.
But 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 again, it's also, men are by nature competitive. They have pride, they have ego. There's just certain things that they've been um, raised to
Mm-hmm.
believe, and society doesn't make it any easier. So unfortunately, by default, they are going to come with issues like that if they're not secure in who they are. and their worth and their value. But I mean, that goes for everybody, right?
Mhm.
So, and my thing is always, we know what the issues are. These are not new issues. We just talk about them more. They're out there more. Um, but we got to find a solution to it so that we can all at the heart of us be healthier. But in terms of well, let me ask Marilyn this. In terms of being a modern woman, a career woman, a wife, a mother, sometimes we lose ourselves. Um, have you been able to, or how are you able to not lose yourself in the relationship, um, and be able to like say what you want? Because traditional woman kind of, I don't. Again, I don't like these labels, but the belief is that they don't ask for what they want in their relationship. Um, they kind of cater and nurture everybody else. So have you been able to, as a mother, a wife, and a career woman, been able to say what you want and need in your relationship?
I will say yes. I can say what I want and what I need. I'm a very outspoken person. Um, I feel that once you're making your own money, as a woman, it doesn't matter whether you're making six figure or you're just making $30,000. To me, I feel once you're making your own money, you have a voice,
Mhm.
and you could say, well, not what you want, but how you feel.
Hmm.
You understand? I can't say too much with basically what Karen's saying because I only really been with my husband. So
Right, your experiences with
That's
I
him.
really
great.
can't think, but what we I guess he was raised to be the hunter, bring the food, and the food is prepared by the wife. So I could say in a way that we are a little traditional and modern, and I would say basically we kind of raise our sons that way too, to be the hunter, to provide, but we still they're modern in their lives also, and tradition, because the significant other also work. So um
Okay.
that's why I have to I feel once you're making your own money, you you could you could say how you feel.
Well, but Marilyn, I got say you could got you have a voice period because I ain't make a penny for 25 years. Well, I kind of did half and half, but Pinky had a big mouth, and if Vincent could have come back from the dead, he gonna tell you like that woman have an opinion, and ain't nobody was gonna tell me I didn't have no opinion about it. No, at the end of the day, I would say, you know what, Vincent, do what you want, you know, because I ain't want to fight for no long period of time, and I put long period of time in there. I will, but for the most part, well, you know what, you gonna be paying the bills anyway, so you could do whatever you want. But then don't come telling me that you need help financially for me to walk. No, because you making all the decisions, so you make them. I just saying all of that to say that for my way, you still got a voice, even though you ain't got no money.
You sure had a voice.
And a
No.
woman should have a voice because
All the
if we
time.
decide to give up, if we decide to
You
sacrifice
should.
ourselves, we did it for the sake of the family. I didn't do it for the sake of Pinky. I do it for the sake of the family. I invested in him and the children. You have to invest in me too. In modern and traditional, we might use them in the wrong context, or we might put
Mm-hmm.
a negative connotation to it, but
Mhm.
that don't mean that's what it means, right? the long old-fashioned way where a woman didn't have a voice. I don't even know what that's called. I somebody else can God help me out on what that term is called when the woman didn't have no voice.
And I know it's not submissive either, because people intend to think when a
Right,
woman doesn't have a voice, oh, she's submissive.
right.
No. So,
And that's true. Submission don't mean you don't have a voice, you
Yeah,
know.
my
but
great grandmother had a
with
voice.
you, Pinky, I would say you were brave.
That will bring.
She was a rebel.
Very brave.
I was. I truly am and I tell people we look at things with these blinders on, right?
Mhm.
And that's why I still say we have a right to decide how we want to show up in the world.
That's for sure.
What that may look like to Debbie or Karen, or it doesn't matter. What do you want? And I think that is what the voice we need to put out there for women.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, the man and woman, with the negative connotation is the woman that we were talking about, the sensuality. We were like, oh, the man doing this and the man doing that, so we should be able to do it too. No. If you want to do it, that's fine. But you don't do it because he's doing it. You do it because you want to do it. That's what you
Exactly.
decide for yourself. But not because he doing this, that, or the other. Or most women ain't getting married no more, so mean into the look. Sit down and figure out yourself, figure out what you want, how you want to show up in the relationship. Angelique put today, if I want something, you don't want something. Okay, well, then we just said we're going to go our separate ways because we meant to be together, and that's okay too.
Exactly.
We have to show up for ourselves above all else. How are we going to be in a relationship? How are we going to have any success in any relationship if we ourselves don't even know what we want? I hear Kevin asking many women, what do you want? And they're like, they're stumped. Do we know as single women what we want in a mate?
But I think it's people, period. Because Kendra, she's like a dating thing on Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
She asks every time she has someone on, she asks them the same question. And she'll ask, what's your deal breakers? What is it that you're looking for? And people have, like he and Ha, they don't know. So it's
A lot of them don't know because
why are
it
you
starts
looking?
with self. It starts.
A lot of men don't know, but my thing is this. We have to stop looking outside. They don't know. Men don't know what you know. I mean, we can't fix the water relationship if we can't fix our own.
Because when it shows up, how do you know? Like people be like, sometimes you ask people, what does happy show? What do you want? I want to be happy. And what does happy show up as? What does love show up as? Like for me, people are, I've heard, having a list. I have a list. I can tell you the ingredients of my man. But I'm going to tell my man the ingredients of my man. But I know what I want. When you go to bake a cake, you ain't just start throwing flour and sugar and that kind of thing in a pan. You know you're going to bake a chocolate cake.
And you know what flavor you want too. What kind of cake you want.
You know what is a cheesecake, a pound cake, a whatever. You have to know when a chef goes to cook, he has to know what the end result is. The work is getting there, but you have to know the ingredients of everything you want. What does happiness show up as? What does success show up as? Some people's success is not about having a fat bank account. Success is about waking up every day doing something that you love to do. But there's so many people sleepwalking through life that don't know what these things are. So how it shows up is they start looking externally for something to validate or make them happy or complete, where the completion and the validation starts from within. It starts with you. Because if you know what you want and it shows up, you could identify it. But if you have no clue what you want, it could be dead in your face. Mr. Perfect could be in your face, but you still out there looking for the perfect man. And you have no idea whether he buying you a Gucci bag or a Maserati, or he's giving you the time of day. He's spending quality time and he's appreciating you and he's loving you and he's there when you have your good days and your bad days. What does it show up as? We talked about the 5 love languages. Some people think is quote unquote nonsense, But if you don't know what makes you happy and you don't know what makes your partner happy, you're going to be speaking French and he's going to be speaking English. And that's how it's going to show up. Yeah. You're going to be on two different accords. The Bible says being equally yoked. It's not about you, the two of you being Christian. It's two of you being on the same page.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And we don't take a lot of these Christian things, and Peaches, I want you to address that. We take a lot of these Bible terms and we turn them into negative things also. Mm-hmm. Just like we take the terms, we turn them into negative things. We take submission, we turn it into negative. Mm-hmm. We take things like Karen, we just, oh God, I totally forget.
Being equally yoked.
Equally yoked. We turn it into negative things. And then we're like, oh, let me tell you, we could find mates right in the church and they're not equally yoked. So we come up with these, I gotta find, as a Christian woman, I gotta find a Christian man. No, I have to find a man that believes in God and who takes time and gets to know God. That is something. We can't just ignore that totally. But Peaches, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not, to me, I love the fact, Karen, that you brought up 5 love languages, because that's what I was gonna say, dealing with sensuality. I mean, Gary Chapman wrote that book. It's an awesome book that everybody should read at least once, especially if you're waiting for a mate, for the person for you. I mean, when you're dealing with one of the languages is acts of service, or words of affirmation, or receiving gifts, or quality touch. I mean, quality time and physical touch, right? You know, my husband loved him some physical touch. And words of affirmation, you know, I love you, baby, and all this stuff. You could tell me you love me till the cows come home. If you ain't put them clothes where you're supposed to be putting them and clean up the, you know, like wipe up the kitchen when you leave, I have everything in its place the way I put it, we don't have a problem. So,
and you will start feeling like used and abused, and because you know what I like.
And they have the 5 love languages for teens. They have it for kids. So that you could identify that person's love language. You know, another thing I did was I have a top 10 list, and I sent it to my husband and my kids. I'm like, look, y'all ever wonder what mom likes? I love tulips, not roses. I love tulips. I love lint chocolates, not lint that you clean up. LINDT. I love lint. You know, and I gave all kind of names of stuff that I really, really like. Not that I'm into gifts, but if you're going to give me something,
right,
that's what I like. You also know if you give me something, give it to me with the receipt. I love you dearly. Don't get offended if I turn it back in because it's not something I like, you know. So and then I told them, hey, send me your top 10 lists, because it's not necessarily about waiting for Christmas or waiting for whatever to give something. We give it all year. If I see something that's on sale at the right time, hey, let me go and get that for Christopher, or let me go and get that for so-and-so. They know I love a card. At the very least, if you don't do nothing else, I like a card. Some people don't care for cards. I do. And to tell you the truth, you get me cheap when you give me a card and get me excited about that, you know. I like going out and buying special outfits to wear at bedtime, even though half the time it ends up off.
Yeah, but, and you know, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
You're 60s, I'm gonna let you finish. You still gotta make it sexy.
But the thing is, you know, I struggle with this. Like, man, Debbie argued about this before, because it's like we think that we need to buy these things for them. We think we need to do things always for them.
Right.
So we as women have not gotten our own voice to say, I like this for me. When Marilyn was here, Marilyn was like, Marilyn, I never wear no sexy high heel shoes for no guy. I never do that for Vincent. And she went to Macy's and it was a shoe that was $25. I mean, me wearing it no place outside the house, you know. I don't plan to have it on long to either because they're so high. But I was like, they were $25. I was like, okay. Marilyn was like, buy it, Pinky. I was a single woman at the time. I still a single woman. And I was like, I gonna buy it because I like it. And I want it. And I want the day to come where I wear it. But I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't do it for no specific person. So, Peaches, I'm glad you said that
Yes, life
because
is
that
too
is
short
owning
not
our
to.
sensuality.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about my underwear. To me, I like pretty underwear.
Right.
I am not wearing it to show off. Like, some people like to show off the brand. No, I know when I have it on, I know what I have on, and I feel sexy.
Exactly.
And
So
it really do
I
make
wearing
you
it for
feel
me.
different.
And it
Right.
starts with self. I think once you are able to create a level of happiness with self, a level of
Right.
contentment with self, like I
Mhm.
am in a point in my life where I am contented with who I am, where I'm at
Hmm.
in life. And if you show up with anything less, I could identify it because that is not where I'm at. And it's
And
okay.
that's another thing too, Karen, because now they're telling us we have to choose lesser.
No,
Oh,
we
are you
don't.
think are you better than?
I
And are
am
you
better than. I'm better than somebody insulting me. I'm better than somebody telling me how they think I should look or whether I should have natural hair or weave or I should not wear makeup. That's your opinion. And like anus, everybody have one. So I personally don't think that you can validate me. Nobody validates me but me.
Right.
You don't if whether you tell me I'm beautiful or you don't, it doesn't take away from my beauty because I know who I am.
exactly.
And that's the problem. A lot of women once upon a time required validation because they didn't have it. No one taught them. Like my daughters were born queens, so they don't have to run for queen. Nobody have to tell them they're beautiful. From the day they were born, they were validated by, with their beauty, and I tell them that every day. We as parents have to feed into our kids.
Yep.
We have to let them know who they are, so nobody could come and show up differently and turn their minds because they walk in their lane. A lot of people don't even know what their lane is, much less to walk in it. But once you
But you
can
know what I
identify,
also want to add to that? When we and Halima, you ain't sent on for a while, so don't think you're gonna just get away. You're next. Um, the thing about it is we seeing young women showing up in the wall, they doing all kind of things, that we didn't do years ago. Maybe we did. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, when we value ourselves, we are not going to lower our standard, like Karen said, to do some of the things that we find ourselves doing, to let other people degrade us and treat us different. We will stand up for ourselves. We talking about healing relationships, and I was listening, and I will call platforms. They don't make me no different. They're public platforms. I was listening to these red pill people and Kevin Samuels degrading us, talking about how we this and we that. And like Karen said, we had to do things in order to survive and take care of our family. So me, I'm against these things in the sense, don't beat me up because I had to do certain things. But I'm not going to beat you up either, men. I'm not going to beat you up because I understand you went through some things yourself and you have some healing to do. But the fact is, we have to get to the point where we know we need healing. We have to have compassion for one another. We can't be beating up each other or women this and man this and women that. We will never solve the problem. And in the process, our relationships, them are suffering. And yes, why Kevin Samuel, he's concerned about, we being an endangered species is because he's saying from the scientific sense, if everybody's marrying out, what's going to happen to our race? And he's also saying the black man with the black woman, which is a strong foundation. But if it ain't working out for some people, it just ain't working out for some people. As my son, he said, Mom, I ain't being with one of our own no more because he had four of them that had cheated on he, I ain't laughing about it. But he went to my when I feel so bad for real. 9 years old, I mean, the woman had me so bad. And I was like, son, don't cry. And he was like, but I was like, son, and she did it multiple times to him, and she was not the first one who did it. He was like, I done, you know? So I understand what he's saying with all of that, but we have to heal ourselves. But Halima, no, it's your turn. Don't even try it.
So all I have to say is like I had a great mom. So growing up, I never doubted anything about myself. I always love everything about myself. So I've never had a problem showing my sensuality. And people will tell you how I appear when I'm with my kids and at work and when I'm by myself going out to have a good time is three very different things. I enjoy my body in every stage when I was skinny, when I was considered fat, and at my current weight right now. And I always thought I sexy. Nobody could ever tell me I'm not sexy. Nobody could ever tell me I'm not beautiful. I could have no teeth in my mouth and my hair falling out. And I'm still the sexiest person in this room.
Exactly.
So that's just how it is. So I
Me
just
ain't that
think,
strong yet. Me ain't that strong yet.
I just think, and as I said,
Practice, practice, girl.
starts from your home, like growing up. And my mom would always say, anybody better than you, and you better than nobody, you just you. Okay, everything about you is great because that's how God made you. And that's what you always have to keep in mind. Because growing up, people used to tell me I'm too dark, or I too skinny, I ain't eating enough, or I'm pretty fat, dark skinned girl, or I look so good if I put on some more weight. I'm like, dude, you stupid or something? I always look good. What are you talking about? I don't know who you're talking to, but you can't be talking to me. And that's just how I've been. So, and like I said, I know for me, there are aesthetics that I might not like. You know, I have breakouts, I have scars, but I'm still sexy. I'm still dark chocolate sexy. I'm good for you. And that's just how it is. So I just say when people
Exactly,
learn
girl.
to embrace their body as it is, not what society says it's supposed to be, not what John Public says, your family, your friends, even your significant other. First of all, sir, you met me a certain way. As we get older, your body changes. Yes, I can do stuff to keep it a certain level, but everything eventually sags. Everything is going to eventually change. You're
Everything
not going to
takes
look this
out.
way all the time. So think about it. If you telling me, oh,
Why
I need
you
to look like
guys
this, look
say
like
that,
this, what
Halima? You
about
younger
you?
than we, man. We ain't trying to
But
be stagnant.
once you embrace the fact that your body has to change,
It
Yeah,
has to
no
Marilyn
change,
does
matter
say them kind
what,
of
your body
things.
has to change, and you have to love it in those stages, no matter what.
No matter what.
Nobody can beat down your self confidence. Nobody can tell you nothing once you embrace yourself at every level.
you
Even if
give that
you
access though. You
did,
grant
yeah,
that person the access
exactly. And
to
once you
be
build
that.
up your self confidence, once you build up that self love to top tier level, nobody can tear you down. Nobody can tell you nothing.
Yeah.
And you have to also think about it. Okay, why is this person really saying that? Are they afraid that somebody else might be looking at me and
There
saying to
you go.
themselves, "Oh, she look really fine. So let me put this insecurity into her or into him," because
Ain't
women do
that
it
the
too.
truth?
For
Ain't
into
that the
this
truth?
causing
Boom.
to say, okay, you ain't look as good as you think because they want to keep you to think, oh, only you want me. It have that too. So you have to think about the reason why people are saying certain things to you. Oh, you put on some weight. Nah, I look good. What are you talking about? You need to put on some weight? You losing weight? What happening? You know, you need to question them. I said, why are you saying that? I look great. Like, what are you saying? Is there something wrong with you? I mean, you want to get to my level? You want to get
You
to my
good, you
size? Is that
good.
the
From the
problem?
time they say that, I just that's it. I
No,
done.
I always put it back on the person because first of
I
all,
like that.
you need to
I
learn
should try that, but I
to
don't try
keep
that.
things in
I
your
quick to
head.
walk away.
And
I'd
if
be
you
like
want to
walk
say
away.
out your mouth, then you should be prepared for my response. And you need to be able to answer me. If you can't answer me why you say that, what you feel that's appropriate to say, then you know you're wrong. Then you know you had ill intentions of saying that. So like I said,
But you know,
everybody.
I'm a big believer also. I'm and Debbie to argue about it. I am a big believer. People should see us at our worst. If you see me at my worst and you can accept me at my worst, then you's a
Mhm.
keeper. Debbie's like, no, man, let me tell you, I sent a picture to my friend the other day. My hair wasn't even comb and it had some raggedy head tie and that. I was like, oh, I even me myself, I was like, oh God, sorry for the picture. I look a mess. But people should see you at your worst. Because at your worst, if people can accept you at your worst,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
then how you going to accept me at my best,
Exactly.
right? That's
Exactly.
where the test really matter. The test doesn't really matter if I show up perfect for you and that's the only way you want to see
Mhm.
me.
And that's why I say you have
That's
to accept yourself and you
I
have to accept
know,
your
and
partner
it's so
at
much
every
work
stage of
though.
life.
They don't understand how much work it takes into to get into this glam level. You know, you think you want to do it every day. Like I want to roll out of my bed with no eye, and I don't let you know. Listen, my eyebrows stop. Yeah,
I have a male friend who just believes women supposed to have long hair. So when he saw me like this, he was like,
I almost got
"What?
hot attack.
What's happening?" He's like, "It's a midlife crisis." I'm like, "I haven't reached my midlife yet. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Sir," and it's so funny. Like I said, once you love yourself, everybody gonna see you as beautiful because you see yourself as beautiful.
Yes.
Even people who don't
You
like
radiate from inside,
sadness,
especially if you're a
yeah.
beautiful person.
Because
If
I
you
have had
have
people say
beauty
like, "Oh my
inside.
God, you
Mm,
really look good." That haircut, my job, they were like, "Whoa, honey, man, that haircut really suits you." And I was like, "I know you say you're going to do it. I didn't think you're really going to do it, but you look so good." I'm like, "Yes, I know. Thank you."
Me ain't tell a soul. I just cut off mine. I
Yeah,
come home.
I
My
always
husband
cut
was
my hair,
very
change my hair
upset.
color, whatever. But yeah, I think once you have that inner self confidence and that strong self love, it radiates and people see it.
mhm.
And either they're gonna gravitate to you in a positive way or a negative way because light attracts everything. And once
Right,
you have a light, it's gonna attract everything. And you just have to be prepared for it, the good and
right.
the bad.
And when your beauty radiates from inside, it's always going to be there. It's not
Yeah,
superficial. It's not on the surface. It ain't going to get washed off when
exactly.
you take a
And,
shower.
and you know another lesson I learned, 'cause Marilyn was saying that. And I wasn't big on that years ago with the like the underwears and everything.
Hmm.
You
I agree
start
with
from the
Marilyn. I do the
inside.
same
Your
thing. Yeah.
Yes, it's layering effect. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it comes from the inside.
Mhm.
The way that like Karen was saying last night, the way you care for your skin, that's the
Hmm.
next layer, the way you
Yep.
care for your body. Me, I love it. Debbie was asking me something about t-shirt that I said, look, I done be sitting down thinking my outfit, the color nail polish I gonna put on. And my daughter was like, Mommy, I think you like polishing your nails. I said, I think so too. You know, it's very therapeutic. I gotta be sitting there.
It's
I said, I
true.
like to create
Painting
colors. Like,
is,
I want to
painting
see how
is.
this color look with
Hmm.
Yeah.
that. And
Painting
I
is therapeutic.
enjoy
Yep.
doing it, right? And
Hmm.
I'm not doing it for a person. I am
You want
doing
to
it
take care
for
about
me.
you. Hmm.
That is self-care. That is
Mhm.
self-love.
Ain't nothing
And
like doing you. Like I buy myself
mhm,
the best gifts. Like I don't outdo myself when I buy me gifts.
Exactly.
Well, I'm gonna buy you next. I be like, when I
no,
bought
but
my
I
car,
it's so
like,
different for me
it's
who
it's fun
neglected self for so many years, right?
Hmm.
And the
because we
only
were
reason
taught being selfless and selfish was bad. Like
Yeah.
you don't think
exactly.
about yourself first, you think about others. And I'm like,
But
so
if you don't think
how
about
can you
yourself first, how can you show up for others?
exactly
How
you
can you
can't
be there
pour
for
from
others
an
if you're
empty
beaten
cup.
down?
It's called
Yeah.
burnout,
Exactly.
and that's what
Yes.
happens
If your
because
cup
you
is
Exactly.
no
show up for
water, what will you
everybody else
pour?
but yourself.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And you broke down in the night and your foot
Hmm.
hurting you, but it's before everybody else.
Right.
When I broke
Exactly.
down for my birthday, you were asking me, Peaches, why do for my birthday? I went to walk. I get up 5 o'clock, I bake all day, and I was standing up out there selling. And then I come home and I put on my heels and I went out. Now my foot was
Hmm.
hurting me, but I felt
Yeah.
empowered. After I had my first drink, I was good. I
You
was,
go. The pain goes away. You feel nothing.
I felt nothing. And would
Beauty
I do
before
it
pain,
again?
girl. Beauty before pain.
But after the first drink, the pain went. I was like, oh, this
Hmm.
all you got to do when your foot hurting you. You have a good drink and you're good to go. So now I get a trick. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Now I went my bed before 12. Okay.
Hmm.
So but it doesn't matter, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't have to be the person who will party until 3 o'clock in the morning, like when I was young. That doesn't
Hmm.
matter,
I
you
go to
know.
2, 3 dance and you're good and a drink.
Hmm.
You
Because it's not
know,
about
and your high
quantity.
heels are hurting your foot, but it's okay. After the
Yeah.
first drink, I tell you, that heels don't hurt no more. I was like,
I used to be
wow.
in the club with the cutest shoes. I say, look, if you see a pair of toes down the road, it's mine. Don't stop. They're gonna drop out. But these shoes are rocking it. But like you say, it's like a method to your madness. I think
Hmm.
as parents, as women, we were taught to give to everybody else.
Except
To give.
ourselves.
All of
Except
self and
ourselves.
none of thee. My mother used to say, all of self and none of thee, and that meaning that you were selfish and it was wrong to be selfish. But
Hmm.
the expression of, and I think I posted that the other day, pouring out of an empty cup.
Cup.
Just that's just the logic of it. You can't
Hmm.
give something you don't have. And that's why sometimes I empathize with men and women who are looking outside, and I don't get upset because I know
Hmm.
they need to fix them. You are
Yes.
you are looking for something outside of yourself because if you possess this, you're going to attract it because you're
True.
going to know when it shows up. And
Hmm.
sometimes when you're looking at the type of people you attract, sometimes you have to stop and do a little checks and balance and go,
Exactly.
I'm glad you said that, Karen.
let me
I'm
see why
glad you
why I
said.
attracting these sometimes you may have a gift like I know I have certain gifts when it comes to inspiring people, when it comes to motivating people, when it comes to giving people a little reality check. You're looking outside yourself, but you have to look from within. But when you hurt people, when you keep seeing these people coming to you, sometimes you're the common denominator. That's it.
Exactly.
And you
Yep.
have to look at self, take some time for yourself, and be with yourself. Like if you can't enjoy your own company, what makes you think somebody else going to enjoy your company? Like,
one of the points I wanted to make is that there is power in submission from a spiritual perspective. And that's why I was blessed. I feel blessed that God hooked me up with a man who believed in God. I mean, it even comes down to discussions. If we have strife, if we're dealing with something that we're on opposite ends of, I usually say, okay, God, I can trust him and submit to him because I know he submits to you. And therefore, when I do it, I mean, I'm sometimes like biting my tongue till my tongue come off. But guess what? It works. It works. Or if there's an issue about him that I really don't care for, but I used to nag him. I used to tell him stuff. It never worked. But now I pray. I'm like, God, you bless me with him. You work it out. Sometimes what God has to do is he has to change me.
Yeah.
Because it's not about fixing him, it's about fixing me.
That's true.
Then I could deal with the situation, and then down the road, because God lives outside of time and he doesn't know our end before the beginning. He
Yeah.
knows why my husband is doing whatever he's doing. And by me being submissive to him because I know who he's submissive to, it works. And I mean, this thing works. So yes, I would suggest.
I love that you said that because people have used the word submission and submissive out of context to me.
Definitely.
Right.
And my thing is, you said the key thing. You are submissive to him because he's submissive
to God. And that's what
And
the
he is-
Bible that
and that's
teach.
what it is. And people don't understand. I'm not going to be submissive to Boo Boo the Fool. Like,
Right.
you can't balance a checkbook and I'm going to give you my money. No.
Exactly.
But you are giving your heart to a man who holds the heart of God. And that's it. But this whole submission thing is taken such out of context.
It is.
Like Debbie says, it's like Pinky, they use the biblical word to suit them. Like, you know,
All the time.
oh, a woman must be submissive. But did you forget the part in the Bible where God said, love your wife as you love the church? God died for the church, right? He gave up his son for the church, right?
Exactly.
One and only child.
Exactly.
Why are you giving up? You won't even give up Sunday night football for me. Like, really? You won't give up hanging out with your boys for me, but you want me to be submissive. Like, pick sense out of nonsense. You're submissive to someone who's submissive to a higher force.
Right.
You could respect that. But you can't be submissive to somebody that can't balance a checkbook, that don't know how to invest money, that can't say it, that don't even know whether he should buy a name brand product or a generic product. Like, where's the sense? And because we women now have the opportunity to decipher these things, that's where the problem is. Because back then, some of these women didn't know better, so they trusted you. They trusted,
and they didn't know better, but they believed in false and wrong teaching.
Exactly.
And it got them into a lot of trouble.
Right.
You know, I hear Kevin said something like that today, and I said that's so ridiculous. And the thing is, when today the modern woman, she in the family, if the man following God, he has no problem also submitting, because the Bible says submit one to another. Right? We to pick what we want to use it for what we want.
Exactly.
If she is strong, and that's me and Vincent's relationship was like, I was strong in certain things, he let me do it. He was strong in certain things, I let him do it. And it's okay. It's okay for my aunt, and my aunt would be 90 something. Her husband did all the cooking. Okay? She wasn't of this time, she was of that time. Her husband did all the cooking because he loved to cook. And she loved to eat his food. And the whole family, he was American, and you know, we think American can't cook, but he could have put on some food. Everybody had loved Uncle Calvin food. Everybody. He cooked every single night. I know relationships where the husband will do the cleaning.
Dr.
My
Williams.
cleaning lady said that.
Remember Dr. Williams? He'd do all the cooking in his house.
All the cooking. My
They've been
cleaning,
married for 40 odd years.
Wow.
She said her husband will do all the cleaning in the house. She's a cleaning lady, you know. That's what she'll do. She said at home, she do not do any of the cleaning.
Whatever works.
Exactly.
Whatever works.
Exactly.
Whatever works.
Well, you know, we're at that hour.
All right.
Um, I want to thank everybody who commented. I just want to end with Valerie, Dr. Reynolds' wife. She said, using the Bible to subjugate someone is called spiritual abuse.
It is.
And we have talked about that before with Shelley. I want to thank you, ladies, again for coming on this journey with us. I want to thank everybody who has looked on while we were live and who will see it going forward. I appreciate your comments. I definitely appreciate everybody's perspective because, like I say over and over again, this is about gaining perspective. This is about learning from one another. And I like what you said, Eve, about that top 10 list. I'm going to make sure I do one for my children as well as have them do it to me. I think that's something good that everybody can utilize going forward. But I just want to thank everybody for joining us and for being a part of this conversation. And I wish everybody well, and we will see everybody next week, Thursday, when we will have the male perspective.
Yes, I look forward to that.
Me too.
Thank you. Everybody take care. Be
Have a
well.
great day.
Okay.
Bye.
Take
Good night,
care.
everyone. Thank you for being our guest, and thank you for checking in, watching the show. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.